So good evening, one and all. Today we have gathered here in the session 2 of budget series related to direct tax amendments. The first budget of the new decade is actually certainly a historic budget, more so because it has provided huge impetus to the infrastructural development of the country. But it seems that the budget did not hold much for the individual taxpayers, particularly because there were no changes in the slab rates. Although there is a sigh of relief amongst all those rumors doing rounds in the air that there will be a COVID cess or there will be any additional tax introduced by the government to compensate for the pandemic there was in the last year. But there was no such additional tax. So as they say, no bad news is also a good news. On this optimistic note, let us start with today's session. We will be covering 5 major amendments brought by this budget related to individual taxpayers. The first and the most important amendment is related to taxability of interest on employee provident funds. This amendment has been brought while introducing proviso to section 10, subsection 11 and subsection 12. In the last budget, the government had tried to curb the employer's contribution to various funds by saying that if an employer contributes any amount in excess of rupees 7.5 lakhs in aggregate to any funds like superannuation fund or employee provident fund or NPS, then the amount contributed in excess of this 7.5 lakhs will be taxable in the hands of the employees as perquisite. And in this budget, they have tried to restrict employees' contribution also by introducing a proviso to section 10, subsection 11, which says that if any employee contributes any amount in excess of rupees 2.5 lakhs during any year in the employee provident fund, then the interest earned on such excess amount will be taxed in the hands of the employees. So what was the idea or what was the need behind introducing this provision? Anyone would like to throw light upon this provision or for the reason why they have introduced this provision? Anyone? Okay, please go ahead. Can you please unmute Mr. AP? Can I continue?
I think you can continue for a while.
Okay. So let me disclose the fact, and as it was mentioned in the budget speech, until now, the high earning employees or those with handsome salaries, आप मुकेश अंबानी को ले लीजिए, आप किसी भी अच्छे एम्प्लॉय को ले लीजिए जिसकी सैलरीज बहुत ज्यादा है, तो अगर वो 12% के हिसाब से भी अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन करते हैं, तो in some cases it used to land up to amount as high as 1 crore. तो अब गवर्नमेंट क्या कहती थी कि अभी तक इस अमाउंट पे जो इंटरेस्ट भी मिलता था वो वाइड सेक्शन 10 सबसेक्शन 11 and 12 was exempt. तो they were earning interest as high as 8.5%. Then the normal FDs provide a rate not more than 6.5% and that too tax free. So गवर्नमेंट की नजर इस इनकम पे पड़ गई and जब अब नजर पड़ गई तो गवर्नमेंट की नजर इसको लग गई. तो अब as employee, if you are paying or contributing any amount in excess of 2.5 lakhs, meaning thereby that if you are contributing more than 20,833 rupees per month, then be ready for this tax. Although the government says that the chunk which would be impacted through this section would not be more than 1% of the PF contributors of the country. So let's see कितना कौन कैसे impact इसका receive करता है. Now there are certain areas for which the government should come up with certain clarifications, because अब इन्होंने बोल तो दिया कि interest पे tax लगेगा, and अगर तो जो इंटरेस्ट ईपीएफ प्रोवाइड करता है उसका एक बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स मेथड होता है, एंड देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ कॉम्प्लिकेसीज इन्वॉल्वड इन कैलकुलेटिंग दैट टैक्स. So how will they give effect to this threshold limit of 2.5 lakhs to levy this tax under section 10 subsection 11? This is one of the issues. Secondly, under which head this interest will be taxable, whether under income under other sources or income under her salary, and whether interest under section whether this TDS will be deducted under section 194A or not. So these are certain queries. Now, to understand this whole concept of this section, we can take a simple example. Suppose Mr. A is an employee and he contributes 1.5 lakhs. So in this case, he will not be required to pay tax on the interest earned on his contribution to the EPF. Again, if he contributes 2.5 lakhs per year, then also he will not be impacted by the clunges of this section. Now, lastly, if he contributes an amount of rupees 3.5 lakhs, then, my friend, government will collect tax on this interest, which will be levied on this 1 lakh of excess amount, which we can assume that at a simple rate of 8.5% will be 8,500, and वो normal slab rates के हिसाब से tax कर दिया जाएगा, individual slab rates के हिसाब से. Now, before moving to the next amendment, I would like to clarify one thing, which is a very common query with respect to employee provident fund, that whether the amount contributed to public provident fund will be included in this threshold limit of 2.5 lakhs. So no, PPF is governed by some other section, and EPF is governed by some other section. So both are governed by different sections, and the threshold limit will not apply to PPF contribution. Now, moving to the next amendment, which is also related to employee provident fund. But this time, this is a welcome amendment, at least for the employees. Before starting with this amendment, I would like to give you a brief background. As per section 2, subsection 24 of the Income Tax Act, the income of a person includes amounts received from employees towards contribution to various funds. There is a simultaneous deduction available under section 36 for such amounts, provided they are deposited to the credit of the employees in these various funds on or before the due dates provided under the acts governing these funds. Now, अब क्या होता था, कई बारी डिले हो जाता था, तो employers क्या करते थे, वो लोग 43B सेक्शन जो है उसके अंदर इसका डिडक्शन क्लेम करते थे. What does 43B talks about? It provides certain deductions on payment basis. That it says that if you pay the respective amounts on or before the due date of filing of return, then deduction will be provided. There, only employers contribution to the fund was included. Employee contribution का कोई mention नहीं था, but to their convenience, employers ने employee contribution को भी वहाँ consider कर लिया. And surprisingly, many high courts also gave nod to this understanding. So इससे क्या होता था, जो employees होते थे, they were at the mercy of the employers. जब उन्होंने deposit कर दिया, तब उनको benefit मिल जाएगा. तो it was also leading to unjust enrichment in the hands of the employers. And daily wage earners were the most impacted section of the society through this practice. तो ministries के पास employees जाते थे, उन्होंने बहुत complaint करी, तो अब government ने ये law लाया, and that is a draconian law for the employers. What does this provision say? Now they have added a explanation to section, they have proposed to add an explanation to section 36, which says that the provisions of section 43B will not and deemed to have never been applied on the amounts related to employees' contribution to the fund, various funds. And a simultaneous amendment has been brought under section 43B also. There also they have added an explanation saying that the provisions of section 43B will not and deemed to have never been applied to the amounts considered as income under section 2 subsection 24 clause 10, which simply means कि employee का जो contribution का amount रहता है जो वो employers को देते हैं for contribution to the various funds, वो उस केस में 43B का कोई application नहीं रहेगा. This is what they are trying to propose by this section. So इससे अब employers को they will have to be on their toes and will have to deposit the employees' contribution on or before the due date. And if they don't do this, the whole lot of this amount received from the employees will be considered as their own income. So beware and do deposit it timely. Now coming to the next amendment, which is related to taxation of proceeds received from unit.
There's a question in the chat box which you can check, and so I can read that for you also. So
Sure.
The question is, do we expect the government may remove a triple E status of the PF in future? Exempt.
By bringing this provision under section 10 subsection 11, they're actually trying to remove this triple E provision, because अब अगर आप 2.5 लाख से ऊपर contribute करते हैं तो ट्रिपल ई तो रहा ही नहीं, आप कहीं ना कहीं तो इंटरेस्ट को भी टैक्स कर रहे हैं. तो yes, probably yes, they might do that. और गवर्नमेंट का कुछ मतलब आप कह सकते हैं कुछ भरोसा नहीं होता कब अपनी चीज में कब अपने फेवर में वो चीजें करनी शुरू कर दे. सो वी कैन एक्सपेक्ट दैट, क्योंकि अब जो वो इतना अनएक्सपेक्टेड प्रोविजन लाए हैं ईपीएफ जो सालों से एग्जाम चलता आ रहा है उसको वो अब जाके टैक्स कर रहे हैं, देन कुछ भी हो सकता है. लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंस नेक्स्ट. एनी अदर क्वेरी?
Not as such, you can proceed.
Okay. So coming to the next amendment, which is related to unit-linked insurance policy. Before discussing the amendment, let us first understand what this ULIP is all about. Any unit-linked insurance policy is any insurance policy which has the features of both investment and insurance, which is linked to a unit. मतलब इस इन्वेस्टमेंट के थ्रू आपको इंश्योरेंस का भी बेनिफिट मिल जाएगा एंड ये जो पैसा आप इंश्योरेंस के लिए देते हैं वो एक्चुअली मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट हो जाता है एंड मैच्योरिटी के टाइम पे आपको उसका बेनिफिट मिल जाएगा. तो गवर्नमेंट हैड tried to provide a benefit by this section by exempting the insurance proceeds, but लोग इसका फायदा उठाने लगते हैं and all those high net worth people used to take this exemption as in their own favor to great extent, and we as celebrated professionals who have the capabilities of reading between the lines provide such avenues to the taxpayers, and हम ही उनको ये जरिया बताते हैं कि एग्जेम्पशन क्लेम कर सकते हैं आप, बट नहीं, अब गवर्नमेंट कहती है आप सीधे सीधे राह पर चलिए, कोई आपको ज्यादा लॉ को चीट फाड़ करने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप सीधे सीधे लॉ के हिसाब से चलिए. तो अब इस प्रोविजन के हिसाब से गवर्नमेंट इज सेइंग दैट इफ यू पे अ प्रीमियम एक्सीडिंग ₹2.5 lakhs in any year, then the amount received from the insurance policy will be taxable. Until now, section 10 subsection 10D provided an exemption for the amount received under insurance policy, provided the premium did not exceed 10%, and in some cases it was 15% of the sum assured. So अब उन्होंने वहां पे proviso add कर दिया, and they have added 4 provisos, proviso 4, 5, 6 and 7 to implement this taxation. Proviso 4 says कि अगर प्रीमियम 2.5 लाख से ज्यादा आपने किसी साल में दे दिया, then the amount received on insurance from this insurance policy will be taxable. Proviso 5 कहता है that if you are depositing any premium in more than one ULIP, then the 2.5 lakh जो amount है that has to be considered on an aggregate basis. पॉलिसी वाइज नहीं करेंगे आप, उसको एग्रीगेट बेसिस पे देखेंगे. अगर आपने 4 पॉलिसीज है और 4 पॉलिसीज के रिस्पेक्ट में टोटल में अगर आपका प्रीमियम 2.5 लाख से ज्यादा है, देन दिस प्रोवाइजो विल बी एप्लीकेबल एंड टैक्स विल बी लेवीड. प्रोवाइजो 6 कहता है दैट इन केस दिस अमाउंट इज रिसीव्ड इन द इवेंट ऑफ अ डेथ ऑफ अ पर्सन, देन देयर विल बी नो टैक्स लेवीड. Lastly, proviso 7 says that in case there is a requirement to remove any difficulty, the government may come up with certain clarifications and guidelines, and they will be first approved with the parliament. Both houses will provide their approval. To tax this amount, there are a whole lot of amendments. First, they have amended section 2, subsection 14, by amending the definition of capital asset. There they have said that in case of a unit-linked insurance policy where proviso 4 and 5 are applicable, then it will be considered a capital asset. Section 45 says that the amount received from a unit-linked insurance policy, which is taxable under section 10 subsection B proviso 4(5), then the capital gains will have to be computed. The manner will be provided through a notification at a later stage. Now, the tax rate that will levied on this capital gain is provided via section 112A, which says that the rate will be 10% without indexation. Now, अब हमें एक रीजन तो ये समझ में आ गया कि हाई नेटवर्थ वैल्यू इंडिविजुअल्स को हमें टैक्स करना था. सेकेंडली, एज पर माय इन्फ्लुएंस, there was one more reason to tax these proceeds, because अभी तक उन्होंने इक्विटी से लिंक्ड जितने भी हमारे सिक्योरिटीज थी उनको टैक्स कहीं ना कहीं कर दिया था ना. अगर आप इक्विटी शेयर्स बेचते हैं तो भी आपको एलटीसीजी पे करना पड़ेगा. देन अगर आप इक्विटी ओरिएंटेड म्यूचुअल फंड्स भी अगर आप सेल करते हैं, देन आल्सो यू हैव टू बियर द कैपिटल गेन टैक्स. So this was the only area which was not at par with other equity linked assets. So to bring it on the same page, they have introduced this tax. Now, this tax will be applicable on all the policies, unit and insurance policies issued on or after 1st of February 2021. So this is what we had for this ULIP proceeds. Now, हम एक छोटा सा example ले लेते हैं to understand how this taxation will work upon. Suppose Mr. A takes a plan value of 30 lakhs as under unit linked insurance policy, and Mr. B takes a unit linked insurance policy, ULIP policy of 30 lakhs. Mr. A pays a premium of rupees 3 lakhs. Mr. B pays of 1 lakh per year. At the time of maturity, Mr. A receives rupees 48 lakhs, B receives 38 lakhs. So who will be taxed? Whether anyone would be taxed or not? Can anyone from the audience tell? Would like to solve this query? Okay, so I can't see any answers. I'll only disclose. Though, of course, Mr. A will have to bear this taxation on what amount? So, although they have said that the manner of computing capital gain will be provided later on, but as per my inference and as per the experts providing their views, this tax will be levied on the amount received on maturity reduced by the sum assured. तो यहाँ पे वो रहता है हमारा 18 lakhs. इस 18 लाख पे 10% लगेगा under section 112A, which would be 1,80,000. So this is how this section will work. Now coming to the next amendment, which is related to LTC cash voucher scheme. In October this year, October 2020, the government came up with a leave travel allowance scheme, and there they provide a scheme of cash vouchers in lieu of the LTA scheme already there in the provisions. This time the intention was to pump money into the economy, because pandemic के time पे वैसे ही markets बहुत slow down थी, economies were falling. So to pump the money into the economy, they came up with a new innovative way to enhance the expenses and to enhance the economy. So we all know Section 10, subsection 5 provides exemption for the leave travel allowance amount received by an employee, provided he claims that amount up to a certain specified limit, and for this he will have to undertake a travel within India by any mode. It could be air, it could be road, like road could be car, rail, then air or bus. So अगर वो किसी भी मोड्स के द्वारा कोई ट्रैवल करता है in a span of 4 years, he can claim this exemption twice. So he was allowed a deduction under section 10 subsection 5. Now due to pandemic, employees could not take the benefit of this scheme. तो गवर्नमेंट कहती है कि अगर आप एक स्पेसिफाइड एक्सपेंडिचर करते हैं, देन आपको एक कैश वाउचर स्कीम मिल जाएगी इस एलटीए के बदले में. तो it said that if the employee incurred a specified expenditure. What does this specified expenditure means? This specified expenditure would mean any expenditure which would attract a GST rate of 12% or more. This could be any purchase of goods or services. The limit up to which this exemption could be claimed is 36,000 per person, or 1/3 of the actual expenditure, whichever is less. The period in which this purchase has to be made is 12th October 2020 to 31st March 2021. मतलब इसके बीच में ही आपको ये खर्चा करना है, otherwise you will not be able to claim this benefit. Now, what if the employee has already taken the benefit of this LTA within the time span of 4 years? तो उसको ये LTC का बेनिफिट, कैश वाउचर स्कीम का बेनिफिट नहीं मिलेगा. Only those employees who have not taken the LTA benefit till now can claim this benefit. Now, what are the salient features amongst all these features which we have already discussed? Are the payment which has to be made for this specified expenditure is required to be made in any mode other than cash. It could be account pay check, demand draft, or electronic clearing system, which is provided under Rule 6 BBA. Sorry. So the payment has to be made through any mode other than cash. Secondly, the invoice on the basis of which this exemption has to be claimed is a tax invoice. अगर आपके पास tax invoice नहीं है, then you will not be able to claim the benefit of this scheme. So as employees, we can spend money and claim the benefit of this section. This is of course a welcome amendment, and ये जो गवर्नमेंट लाई थी अपना अक्टूबर में ये स्कीम लाई थी, उन्होंने तब बोला था कि the relevant changes in the Income Tax Act will be made at a later stage. So while this budget, they've simply made the relevant amendments in the Income Tax Act, and it is a clarificatory amendment of sorts. And there is no such new provision provided here. Now coming to the last topic for discussion today. This is the income tax return for senior citizens. The finance minister, when started talking about the direct taxes, the first topic which she talked about was this very section, which was कि आप senior citizen को वो लोग benefit देने वाले थे for allowing them by not filing their returns. So ये सुनकर ना एक लगा था कि होप जागी थी कि शायद बजट काफी कुछ लाएगा. There would be a lot of giveaways for the individual taxpayers. But खोदा पहाड़ and निकली चुइया. And there was no such amendment provided in the budget, which could actually, I mean, in real terms or in monetary terms, provide any benefit to the employees. So coming back to the discussion, अब जो इन्होंने बोला है कि अगर कोई सीनियर सिटीजन है जिसकी पेंशन इनकम है एंड इस पेंशन इनकम के साथ इंटरेस्ट इनकम है, बट वो भी सिर्फ उस बैंक से जिस बैंक में उसकी पेंशन आती है, तो उसको रिटर्न फाइल करने की जरूरत नहीं है. द बैंक विल बी रिक्वायर्ड टू डिडक्ट द टीडीएस ऑन दिस पेंशन प्लस द इंटरेस्ट इनकम, एंड दिस TDS deduction will be undertaken under section 194P. This is a new section. इस सेक्शन में यही बोलता है कि बैंक्स को जो स्पेसिफाइड बैंक्स हैं, और वो स्पेसिफाइड बैंक्स की लिस्ट भी गवर्नमेंट बाद में प्रोवाइड करेगी. स्पेसिफाइड बैंक्स को TDS डिडक्ट करना है उन सीनियर सिटीजन के केस में जो 75 इयर्स की उनकी एज है या उससे ज्यादा है, एंड दे हैव only two types of income. First is pension, and second is interest income only earned from that particular bank in which they are receiving the pension income. So ये ना एक just eye wash है जो ये amendment लाए हैं, because इससे जो फायदा होने वाला है बहुत ही कम परसेंटेज ऑफ पॉपुलेशन को फायदा होगा, बिकॉज उन्होंने एक तो पहले सीनियर सिटीजन की डेफिनेशन को यहाँ पे रिस्ट्रिक्ट कर दिया है, 60 ईयर्स के बदले में यहाँ पे उन्होंने 75 ईयर्स रखा है। तो अगर आप देखेंगे 1 से 2 करोड़ की जो जनता हमारी सीनियर सिटीजन की कैटेगरी में फॉल करती है, उसमें से भी बहुत एक स्मॉल परसेंटेज होगा जो इस प्रोविजन का बेनिफिट एक्चुअली अवेल कर पाएगा। सेकेंडली, आप देखेंगे सीनियर सिटीजन सिर्फ पेंशन इनकम पे अगर रिलाई करेंगे तो उनका जीना कैसे ही पूरा हो पाएगा, राइट? और वो लोग डेफिनेटली और भी सोर्सेज से थ्रू इन्वेस्टमेंट करते हैं ताकि उनका बाकी का जो लाइफ रहती है वो अच्छे से गुजरे। तो उनकी अगर उनको कोई भी इंटरेस्ट इनकम मिल रही है किसी भी अदर सोर्स से अदर देन दैट बैंक, देन ऑल्सो दे विल नॉट बी एबल टू टेक द बेनिफिट ऑफ दिस सेक्शन, तो उनको वैसे भी रिटर्न फाइल करनी पड़ेगी। तो ये this is just an eye wash and this is not providing much of a benefit to the employee or the rather the senior citizens. And yes, the banks have now the obligation to deduct TDS in such cases, and they will have to provide deductions under Chapter 6A and rebate under Section 87A to compute the taxable income. And the rates that will be applied would be the normal applicable rates for computing the income in case of individuals. Now, this once this 194P is applicable, the senior citizen is not required to file his or her return under Section 139 as prescribed by Section 139(1). For making this section applicable, एक declaration required होगी senior citizen को जो देनी पड़ेगी बैंक में, thereby he will have to provide the required particulars and stating that उसके पास और कोई income नहीं आ रही except for these two income, because of course आप बैंक से तो expect नहीं कर सकते that he will go after that person and वो investigate करते रहेगा कि उसकी और कोई income आ रही है person की या नहीं आ रही है. So for this purpose, they are saying that the senior citizen will have to provide a declaration in this regards. This is what we had for discussion today. And yes, of course, in case there are any queries, I'll surely take them up.
Yes, there is a query asked to me in a personal message. So that is related to provident, that is related to PF only. So what about those genuine cases where employer is not able to deposit the dues on time? So whether any remedy which is available or
no, as of now and as per my inference, there will not be any remedy provided in this case, because अब सब कुछ ऑनलाइन हो गया है. आप एक्सपेक्ट ही नहीं कर सकते किसी से. अब देखिए, आप जैसे सब कुछ ऑनलाइन हो गया, आप मोबाइल का बिल भी अगर आप ऑनलाइन पे करते हैं, आप कभी अपने आप को मोबाइल बिल के लिए बोल सकते हैं कि आप मेरे पे वो 100 रुपए की पेनल्टी ना लगाइए क्योंकि मैं पे नहीं कर पाया. सिमिलरली वो यहाँ पे भी कह रहे हैं कि हमें कुछ सुनना नहीं है, अगर आप इस अमाउंट को ड्यू डेट से पहले नहीं पे कर पाते, वो आपकी इनकम कंसिडर कर लिया जाएगा. आई नो दिस इज अ हार्श प्रोविजन, दिस इज अ ड्रैकोनियन लॉ फॉर द एम्प्लॉयर्स who might genuinely also face some issues and could not deposit the amounts within the due dates. But नहीं, आपको टाइम से पहले एक्ट करना है. यहाँ पे आपको इंश्योर करना है कि आप टाइमली 15 तक तो वेट ही नहीं करनी है फॉर PF एंड ESI, आपको उससे पहले ही डिपॉजिट करा देना है.
There's another query which is asked by Kapil, whether contribution to PF will be calculated taking together all like EPF, PPF, etc., or individually applicable. So
EPF and VPF will be considered. PPF की तो देखिए अलग है, लिमिट ही अलग है, उन्होंने सेक्शंस दोनों अलग हैं जिसके थ्रू PPF आप कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं एंड EPF कंट्रीब्यूट करते हैं. तो PPF की लिमिट को आप नहीं देखेंगे, सिर्फ EPF एंड VPF की अमाउंट्स को आप कंसिडर करेंगे.
So there is another comment I would say this is not a query that related to filing of returns by the senior citizens. So Mr. Reti is saying that they will have to ultimately file the returns to claim the excess TDS which is deducted. So
डेफिनेटली आई मीन आप वो देखिए कि एक्सेस टीडीएस तो तब होगा जब आपके पास अगर कोई और इनकम है, बिकॉज अगर आपके पास पेंशन इनकम है और इंटरेस्ट इनकम है, देन द बैंक्स विल हैव द ओनर्स टू डिडक्ट द टीडीएस ऑन दैट इनकम एंड दे विल कंप्यूट द करेक्ट इनकम बाय गिविंग द डिडक्शंस अंडर चैप्टर 6A एंड 87A. अगर उसके अलावा कोई इनकम है जिसके रिस्पेक्ट में आपका टीडीएस भी कटा हो सकता है, तो आप ये प्रोविजन वैसे भी नहीं आप इसका बेनिफिट ले सकते, बिकॉज इट इज एप्लीकेबल ओनली इन केस where the senior citizen has having any pension income and any interest income from that particular bank. So this is very restricted provision rather I should say, कि यहाँ पे एक बहुत छोटे ग्रुप को उन्होंने exemption provide करने की कोशिश करी है.
Right. So there's another query which is asked by Kapil only, whether bank will still deduct TDS on senior citizens after 194P.
Could you please elaborate more upon this? I mean, मतलब आप कहना चाह रहे हैं कि 194P तो आपकी उस पे लगी जाएगी?
हाँ, I think वो आपने ऑलरेडी कवर कर लिया है कि उसमें TDS काटेगी बैंक under section 194P. So his question is regarding maybe clarification whether bank will be covering deducting TDS or not.
Okay, so I think this query is resolved now. I think this query is resolved now.
He's saying yes. So any other query which is which anyone would like to ask to our guest speaker? So we have a time of 10-20 seconds which we can wait, and
Sure.
Let me just remind our existing audience and those who are watching at YouTube. So this is the part 2 of budget series on direct taxes, and I think Jaya, this is next is going to be the last part of
Right.
which we are going to cover.
Right.
And what are the topics that we are expecting in that session? Can you just
particularly related to assessments, like what is the time period for issuing notice under section 143(2), 143(3), and then reassessment procedure. They have introduced a new reassessment procedure, faceless IT80. So these are topics, and they would be more related to assessment.
So great. We'll post the time, duration, the venue is all same online. So this will be shared in a while when the next session will be hosted on our live session as well as on our YouTube channel. So those who are yet to like, share, subscribe our YouTube channel, this is the link of our YouTube channel which is mentioned in the chat box. Go and subscribe to our channel, and I think all the queries has been resolved. So I think we can proceed ahead with the winding up of today's session, which is part 2 of budget series on direct taxes. So I think the session was really fantastic because it was simple to understand and explained in a very polite as well as simplified way by our guest speaker for tonight, CA Jaya Krishna Kapoor. So any closing comments which you would like to make, Jaya?
I would really thank the audience for attending the session, and I would request them to provide any feedback if they have, so that I can provide valuable addition to my delivery sessions. And of course, this will enhance the quality of the lecture. And yes,
definitely. Feedback is really important for anyone who is at any stage of life, and that help each other to grow consistently and deliver to the best of their capabilities, right? So thank you, Jaya, once again. Thank you, audience, for joining us tonight, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.